Good evening, everybody out there in Facebook land. Thank you so much for tuning in once again to our nightly concert here. It's been such a pleasure to share our music with you through Facebook and YouTube every single night since this quarantine began. We are Laura Dubin and Antonio Guerrero, as you know, but if we happen to have any new folks joining us tonight, I thought I'd introduce ourselves. We would like to start with a composition by Horace Silver tonight. Horace Silver, as many of you know, is probably my favorite jazz composer, as well as one of my favorite jazz pianists. And this is a really fun composition that he wrote. It's so much fun to play, but it's got kind of a funny story behind it. This piece is called the St. Vitus Dance, and I didn't know what that meant when I first learned the tune. I just really loved this tune, and I transcribed it from a recording, and we began to play it. But I wondered what that title meant, and so I looked it up, and I discovered that the St. Vitus Dance was actually an illness that came about during the Dark Ages, or the Middle Ages, excuse me, in Europe. And people don't know exactly how it was contracted, but supposedly there might have been something bad in the water or something. Somehow people had contracted this illness. And the symptom of this illness, oddly enough, is that it made people dance. And another name for this St. Vitus dance during this time was actually dance mania. And apparently thousands of people would gather in the street like for hours at a time and just dance, like, you know, moving their arms and legs and faces. To me, it sounds kind of fun, you know, when I hear a description about it, although I'm sure it didn't really feel like it if you had, you know, that illness. But I just thought it was really interesting that Horace Silver decided to write a tune about that. And I guess it's kind of a frantic sounding piece, so I could see how that concept of the St. Vitus dance inspired this piece. And apparently the name also came from a hospital called St. Vitus Hospital, where many patients who had this illness went. So the internet's pretty cool. I was able to look up what that whole thing meant. So anyway, we hope you enjoyed this piece by Horace Silver called the St. Vitus Dance. that was a piece by the pianist and composer Horace Silver called the St. Vitus Dance. Last year, we recorded an album of the music of West Side Story. We released it. It was a trio album that we recorded, Antonio and I, with our dear friend Tom Lang, who we are so sorry to say that he passed away last year. He was a dear friend of ours and a wonderful bass player, and we were so lucky to be able to play with him consistently for about 2 years before he passed away. And just to take a moment to talk about Tom, just before he passed away, he was diagnosed with cancer. And when he told us about his diagnosis, we were actually in the middle of recording this album of West Side Story still. And we said to him that if he wanted to, he absolutely did not have to finish doing the project with us. We would completely understand if he wasn't able to. But he really wanted to continue recording with us, and he almost insisted to continue the project with us. And it was such a blessing to us that he did that. And we are so lucky that we had a chance to record this album with him before he passed away. So we'd like to dedicate this to him, to our dear friend Tom Lang. We released this album at the Jazz Festival last year when we played this music, the music of West Side Story. And this is our arrangement of the classic song called Maria. And the way that I did this arrangement on the piano is that I took the melody of the song and I used a certain type of interesting chord on every single note, and it kind of really changed the harmony a lot from what the original chords were. But I really liked what it ended up being, kind of a little bit maybe avant-garde, a little bit out there sounding, but I think I really like the way that it ended up. So this is our arrangement of Maria.
Mysterious.
Exactly.
Something,
yeah. Composed by Leonard Bernstein. That was our arrangement of the song Maria from the classic American musical West Side Story. If you're just joining us tonight, thank you so much for being here. We've so appreciated your support this past week or week and a half since we began doing these live concerts on Facebook every night. It's really meant the world to us to be able to continue sharing our music with you during this time, even though none of us can see each other in person. We're really grateful to have the internet so we can continue playing our music for you. It means so much to us, and it really means the world to us to have you in our audience tonight. So thank you so much for being here. If you would like to, after the performance ends, feel free to go over to lauradubin.com. There's a link right in the video here, and you can make a financial contribution if you choose to do so. You can either make a donation. There are several suggested amounts you can choose from. You can become a monthly patron of Laura Dubin Jazz, which is an automatic recurring payment on your credit card. It will take you to a secure PayPal link. Or you can also download all of our albums. We've got 7 albums for you to choose from. Plenty of music to get you through these next several months when we're all bunkered down at home. And if anybody out there is interested in making a financial contribution, but you are hesitant to enter your credit card information online, please know that my website is secure. It doesn't save your information. We have no access to it. However, if you choose not to do that and you'd like to contribute another way, feel free to send me a private message later on, and we'll talk about another way that you can make a donation. If you're unable to do anything at this time, that's quite all right. We really just appreciate you being here listening to our music, and we are so happy to have music to get us through this time. Playing is just such a joy for us, and even more than ever right now, we're realizing how important it is in our lives. And we're just grateful to be able to share it with you. We would like to play a Thelonious Monk composition next, and this arrangement was actually inspired by the pianist Fred Hirsch, and this is a New Orleans style arrangement of Thelonious Monk's composition called I Mean You. that was a piece called I Mean You by the great pianist and composer Thelonious Monk. And that arrangement was inspired by the great pianist and composer Fred Hirsch, who had an arrangement in a New Orleans style on his album called Heart Songs. He performed this piece, I Mean You, in kind of a New Orleans-infused way, and I always loved that arrangement of his. If you're joining us tonight, feel free to leave a comment and say hello. Let us know where you're watching from. We always love to know how far our music is reaching, and we're just happy to have you all here, and we'd love to know who's listening. And afterward, we like to stay and hang out with you for a while after we finish the music. So feel free to say hello. If you have any questions you'd like to ask us, feel free. We'll try to answer them after we finish a few tunes down the road from now. Thanks so much for being here. This next piece is the title song from my all-time favorite movie, The Sound of Music. And The Sound of Music was originally a play on Broadway, but I will forever associate it with Julie Andrews. When I think about my childhood and pretty much my whole time growing up, I can't imagine my childhood without Julie Andrews. The Sound of Music and Mary Poppins are both my favorite movies, and I kind of think of them as like the cornerstone of my experience growing up. I always loved the music, and especially the music from The Sound of Music, the wonderful score by Rodgers and Hammerstein. And I always thought that if everybody heard Julie Andrews singing to them every night before going to bed, the world would be a much more peaceful place. So I'd like to dedicate this to Julie out there. Yeah. This is our arrangement of The Sound of Music, and it's got some different time signatures than you might have heard normally in this piece. It alternates between 5/4 and 3/4. And some of you know, well, those of you who come to our live performances regularly do know that we love to arrange music and compose music that's in odd time signatures. And sometimes people ask me why I like to do that. And it's not really just for the sake of doing it in a different meter, just for no reason. I kind of let the melody take me there, which is often why sometimes a piece might be in two different time signatures. So it might mostly be in 5/4 with a couple measures of 3/4, because perhaps some part of the melody seemed like it just needed an extra beat there. And so that's kind of what happened when I was arranging The Sound of Music. I really just let the melody take me where it wanted me to take it. So we hope you enjoy our arrangement of this piece. that was our arrangement of the classic Rodgers and Hammerstein song, The Sound of Music. And I forgot to mention before we started playing this piece that you can hear it on our 2018 album called Rhapsody, which you can download on lauradubin.com, and we certainly hope that you will. We've got a couple more pieces to play for you, and this next one comes from an album that we released last year called Classical Jazz, which is exactly what it sounds like. It is all comprised of jazz arrangements of great classical pieces of music. And some of you might recognize this Beethoven statue here from the cover of the album. He was wearing sunglasses on the album cover, but this is the original Beethoven guy.
we should have some poster.
Yeah, you know, we've got one in
cool.
the living room. I'll have to bring one in.
Sai's idea.
Exactly.
Sai wastes money. If he's watching,
yeah, if my grandpa Sai is watching out there, a little shout out to you. And grandpa's been a huge supporter of all our musical endeavors, including all of our albums. And that artwork for that cover was his idea, so we have him to thank for that. Thank you so much, Grandpa.
Thank you.
Hope you're enjoying the music tonight if you are watching. So this comes from that album, Classical Jazz, and it is a combination of a piece by Johann Sebastian Bach and a piece by Antonio Carlos Jobim. They both have long, fun names to say, so that's why I combine them. No, just kidding. That's not really why. The Bach piece is a composition called Invention Number 13 in A minor. And an invention is essentially a piece of music on the keyboard, or it can be played with two instruments. But in terms of keyboard music, it's a type of composition in which two voices, or each hand, kind of mimic each other. So an invention always starts out with a theme played by one hand, and then the theme is typically echoed by the other hand in a different key, and it goes through this whole big cycle, a development, until finally at the end of the piece it kind of circles back and comes together. So that's like the nutshell version of what an invention is, and Johann Sebastian Bach was just like the king of writing those inventions. So this is Invention Number 13 in A minor, combined with a beautiful composition by the Brazilian composer Antonio Carlos Jobim called O Grande Amor. And I first learned this piece also from Fred Hirsch. He recorded it on his album called Fred Hirsch Plays Jobim. And I also was really inspired by the recording by Stan Getz and Joao Gilberto. That was actually just the name of the album, Getz/Gilberto. And they've got a beautiful version of the same piece. And that kind of inspired me to meld these two pieces together. They're both in the same key, and they share a lot of similar harmonies. And so that was kind of the idea behind combining these two pieces. We hope you enjoy this combination. was Invention Number 13 in A minor by Johann Sebastian Bach, combined with O Grand Amor, composed by Antonio Carlos Jobim. I can't believe how quickly this evening went by, but we do have just one more piece to play for you.
No!
I know! But if you're enjoying the music and you'd like to hear more, please come back again tomorrow night. We're going to be doing these literally every single night from now on, so we hope that you'll continue to join us and spread the word. These videos are public, so feel free to share them on your own page and invite your friends, and you can even host a watch party with them. That's a new feature. Yes, of course, yeah. Although we're about to play the last piece, we are going to stick around for a few minutes and say hello to you afterward. So I see that some people are watching out there now. If you'd like to leave a comment and say hello, let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to say hi to you afterward. Kind of in the same way that we say hello to people in real life at our live performances. It's actually one of our favorite parts of performing live is spending time with all our friends afterward. We just really appreciate all the community support that we have here in Rochester and beyond. And I would just like to take a moment to really, truly thank everybody who's made a contribution to us since this whole thing began last week. Your support really means the world to us. And just to respect people's privacy, I won't mention any names here, but please know that we appreciate your support so much. And even if you were unable to make a contribution, we still received so many kind messages from people since last week. Your thoughtful comments and kind emails, just all your kind words have really helped motivate us to continue sharing our music with you and made us feel like what we're doing is important, especially during this time. So we really appreciate it, and we appreciate you. If you'd like to head on over to lauradubin.com after this, there's a link right in the video here, and it will take you to a page on my website where you can order all of our albums as a digital download. You can make a one-time donation if you'd like, or you can become a monthly patron of lauradubin.com. So all sorts of options there. Thank you so much for listening, and again, please leave a comment and say hello, and we will say hi to you after we play this next piece. And this is a piece that Antonio and I love to play at the end of our sets because it's just a real burner, as they say. It's a really fun, fast piece to play. And this arrangement was kind of inspired by Oscar Peterson and also a little bit inspired by the guitarist Django Reinhardt. This is our arrangement of Sweet Georgia Brown. so much for being here tonight. We are Laura Dubin and Antonio Guerrero. And I'm just going to take a couple minutes here just to say hello to people who might be watching. I think I saw a couple comments pop up as we were playing here. Let's see. Oh, Lisa's back. Both Lisas, I think.
Lisa Mancini and
Lisa Clement, Lisa Mancini, and Lisa Clement. Hey, the two Lisas! Oh, it's interesting. Something about my mother always said that my grandma had St. Vitus dance. I never quite understood what that would have meant. Yeah, I had no idea what that meant until I looked it up on the internet, and it seemed that there were a lot of paintings of it, so it must have been like really common during a certain period of time. So it's kind of interesting. Let's see. I've got this video in 2 different places. Thank you so much for sharing. I see a couple people have shared this video on your own pages. We really appreciate it. And I've gotten several friend requests this week and a lot of new people liking my music page. And I believe that is because all of you have been sharing the videos with your friends and family. And we appreciate that so much. It's really important for us to be able to spread the music. Yes, you are all the best promoters for us. So thank you so much for doing that. And it's been kind of fun because I feel like even though we're all kind of isolated now, I feel like nevertheless we're still kind of making new friends. It will be really cool to meet you all in real life someday when all of this is over and we can go out in the world again.
But virtually sharing something. I mean, stories behind the music, and thank you.
Yeah, we really, really appreciate it. Got this in 2 different places here. Let's see. My dad! Hey, Dad! Great to see you again! We gotta get you in here one of these days.
Yes, Jan, please.
So my dad is a saxophone player, and my dad is also really the person who got me into jazz. He's been a jazz aficionado his whole life, and he played piano growing up, and he also played the oboe, and he recently got back into playing music again, and he got a saxophone a few years ago when he retired from Xerox. And it's amazing how much he's grown musically and what a great saxophone player he's become in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, and he's playing in some orchestras.
Yep, he's a busy bee. So my dad plays with the New Horizons Vintage Jazz Band, and he also plays with the Nate Rawls Community Jazz Band. So it's really cool that he's doing all this. And for any musicians out there who might be watching, you probably know my dad because he is one of the biggest supporters of live music in Rochester, truly. We appreciate him coming to all of our performances when we perform live. And I know he also attends countless performances of other musicians in Rochester. So just thank you so much, Dad.
Thank you, Jan.
Can't wait to see you in real life again soon. Sue! Wes and Sue! Oh my gosh, we miss you both so much. Like, you have no idea. We're sending you a big hug through the internet right now.
Last time, well, we just were in the Wegmans.
Yeah, we just saw you a few weeks ago, and we were talking about seeing you at one of our next performances, but unfortunately that will not be happening at this point. Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. So, so yesterday when I made that post about asking people to share a happy photo, unfortunately I didn't see your photo in time to get it in our slideshow last night, but Sue posted a picture of her and Wes at the Eiffel Tower, which of course, as you know, is like our happy place. The 4 of us should go there sometime together. We would love that so much. Yeah, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, hey Gerlindy, thank you so much for watching again. She says her dog's name is Georgia. Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Aww. Georgia and Gerlindy. Yeah, perfect. Hope you're all doing well and hope your little babies are doing well. They're so cute. I would love to meet them all in real life someday. Yeah. So I think that's all the comments for tonight. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And we will see you back here again tomorrow night. Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you.